Morning, everybody. Well, I'm just getting started for my day. It's pretty early. Sun's not quite up yet. I got a little project. I started cutting hay yesterday, and I got this old swather. This is my boneyard swather, New Holland 1475. This is actually the second one that I've owned of this, and this guy's been a pretty good machine. I'll show you what I got going with it today. So I got a knife section right there that's broke, and it's on the very end, and it's got that bar on top of it. So it's a real pain to get to. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take the knife out of the machine. I think I can take the two bolts out and just slide that knife out of that bar section. So I'll take you guys along, but the story on this swather, I got it from a good friend of mine I work with, and he had lost the hydraulic drive motor on it and decided not to fix it. And the dealer didn't want it. You know, it's an older machine, so he ended up buying a new machine, just basically parked this one out in the weeds. Well, a couple years ago, my old 1475, I was having hydraulic trouble with it, and I couldn't figure it out. I was struggling with it. So I was talking to him, and he says, well, come get some parts off of this and see if you can figure it out. It ended up being the relief valve, big check valve on the hydraulic system on it. So it was great for troubleshooting, because I just stole his, put on mine, was able to get it going, ordered a new one for mine. Well, I ended up talking him out of it. In my mind, just thinking I'd use it for a parts machine. It's a 16-foot cut. My old machine is a 14-foot. You would not think that'd make any difference. It makes a huge difference. You sit in a 16-foot swather all day versus a 14-foot, you can cover some country. I've had some problems with it, nothing big. It's actually been a pretty good machine. A lot of just small little dinky items. You know, usually first cut, I end up breaking quite a few of these knives just because prairie dogs and such, you know, stirring up the new rocks, whatever it is, I don't know. But so anyway, I'm pretty tickled with this machine. I really am. I've got my old one, and it's perfectly healthy. It's just sitting up there in the yard as a backup. So it's kind of nice having two machines. That are almost identical. This one's a little bit newer than mine, so it's not exactly the same, but a lot of parts interchange on it. So anyway, I'll take you with me. We'll get this knife section out and go cut some hay. What I figured out is this top bolt, all you have to do is loosen that and then remove these two bolts, and then that knife just slides right out. I'll show you. Be nice if you get an impact in here, but these bolts are so tight you have to use end wrenches. When I say they're tight, it's not the nuts and bolts are tight, it's just it's such a tight spot in there. I gotta grab a cheater for this other one, it's pretty tight. Just like that, come right out. Take those two nuts off, knock them bolts out. Hopefully I'll be able to just slip a new knife in. Got the old one out. We'll see how easy the new one goes in. Just like that, simple as mud. So I just bought this new box of these knife sections, and this will be the third one I've put in. And I don't know what brand they are or where they came from. It says made in USA, but the bolt holes aren't exactly right. I can look down there and that bolt hole is just a smidgen too wide. And this is the third one I've used out of this, and every one have been that way. It is just a fight to get the bolts in. Well, I bent the bolt trying to get it in there. Guess I'm gonna have to go get a drill them out. Wow, that's gonna be a giant pain, isn't it? Huh. Don't know quite what to think about that. All right, so I got a drill. Hopefully I can just drill through that blade real quick. What a pain. Man, do we love our cordless tools or what? Hopefully I can still get a nut on it. Well, I think it's gonna work. So I got a couple hammers. I got this big hammer, hold on the top, and then pound the bolt up from the bottom. You think you'd be able to suck it up with the nut? You can't. It will break before you get it up. I've proved it. You'd be shocked how easy those bolts break. I know every time I break one, I'm shocked. So I use lock nuts on all these bolts. And I've used a lot of Loctite in the past, but I think these lock nuts are pretty good just to keep them from vibrating off. There's Loctite on them bolts now. Alrighty, we're back in business. I'm gonna grab the grease gun, give this old kid a little bit of grease, and be back to cutting hay. Alright guys, we'll give her a shot of grease. You guys hear me talk a lot about cordless tools. One of my favorite cordless tools I have is the grease gun. Thankfully, DeWalt and all the major tool manufacturers, they've standardized all these, same battery for the drill, the impact, the sawzall, all that stuff takes the same battery. Made our lives a whole lot better. These wobblers on these Swathers, these are a real high maintenance, high heat. I try to grease this usually twice a day. I mean, it says a big sticker right there, 8 to 10 hours. I try to grease it every 4. And sometimes I don't get it done. I mean, of course I'm out of grease now. Sometimes I don't get it done, but I grease it at least every day, mostly twice a day. Now I'm going to change the grease tube. Alright guys, well, we're headed out to go cut some hay. I've had a pretty good morning. It's only about 7:30 in the morning and I've already got the Swather repaired and greased and headed to the field. So hopefully the rest of the day, my day goes this good. I'll take you guys with me. We'll go get some cutting done. I've only got about 10 acres left to cut today, but there are a bunch of little dinky fields, and it just seems like all you do is spend all your time turning around. I got the big field cut yesterday, it's about 40 acres. And you know, you feel like you can get out there and get lined out and get some hay cut. But these little fields, I mean, they're worth it. They produce good. They're just kind of a pain in the neck compared to the bigger ones. So. All right, guys. Well, we're getting the field opened up first thing this morning here. Got the old Swather running pretty good out there. I don't know how good you guys can see it. The windows are pretty dirty, but it looks pretty good. Windrows are nice and heavy. Running that round baler, it sure likes a bigger windrow the better. And this hay looks pretty good right here. I might even double rake it. Just have to see how it dries and how it's going. It's supposed to be 95 degrees today, so that's pretty good hay drying weather. But yeah, that old 16 foot makes a really nice windrow. Kevin, if you're watching this, you missed out. This is a good Swather. Not as good as your new one, but pretty dang nice. All right, guys, here we go. A typical day of farming. Bragging up this 16-foot Swather. And it didn't take me long after all that bragging I did. And I broke the wobble arm shaft. I'll show you what's happening here. So there's that shaft right here that drives this. This is like the wobble knife drive assembly. See the shaft turning on the one side of the bearing? Not turning on the other side. So this shaft is broke inside this bearing housing. And I've never been into that, so I don't really know for sure, but I think that this piece here and the shaft is all one. That's all one piece. So there's got to be a set of bearings in there, and that shaft, I don't know, I'll have to get into it and see. But so luckily I have another Swather, so I'm just gonna hurry and switch machines, keep cutting. All right, guys, well, what started out to be a pretty good day on the old tractor and Swathers, not turned out so good. So I broke the 16-foot machine down. I broke that shaft. So I went and hooked onto the 14-foot machine and made one round. Now the tractor just quit. I really, really hope it's the fuel filters. It seemed like I've had this happen one time before. You would think that you'd lose performance, but I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But the tractor just quit, just like somebody shut the key off. The other thing it could be is injection pump. Certainly hope that's not it. So I've got some filters at the shop, so I'm gonna go grab them. And the beauty of these John Deeres is simple changing the filters. Don't really even need any tools. Oh, I guess you do. You need a 9/16 wrench to bleed the air out, but very, very simple. So let's hope for the best on this one. All right, guys, hopefully the stars are gonna start aligning for us a little better. Change fuel filters on the 4440, fired right up. So I wouldn't think I'd have to change fuel filters that often. I only put less than 100 hours a year on that tractor. I don't know, maybe it's been, I've only had the tractor, this will be our third season. So I've only put 200 hours on it. I know I've changed the fuel filters once. I don't know how often I have to do it. Maybe if somebody's got more experience, leave a comment. Maybe I need to be changing them about every 100 hours. I wouldn't think so, but, and maybe I've got a bad fuel tank. I don't know. But anyway, I was sure dreading that was a possibility of being the injection pump. I had to change the injection pump on the backhoe. It's been a couple years ago now, and it only had like 2,500 hours on it when I changed it. So I don't know. Hopefully the rest of the day will go better. We'll try to get some hay cut. All right, guys. So done cutting first crop hay. So the old 14-foot machine pulled through for me again. So always my goal is to cut my whole crop with that big 16-foot machine. I have not been able to do it one time since I've had it. So just working through the issues with it. That shaft I showed you that was broke on that one, this same machine broke the shaft, that exact part here 3 or 4 years ago. So it must be kind of a weak link on them. I'm sure I'll be able to find another one, I hope. Anyway, so we're done cutting first crop hay. That's always a great feeling. Kind of a busy week. Tomorrow and the next day and Saturday we're going to the desert to get cows gathered up and get them shipped to the mountains. So it's going to be a busy week. Should be baling this. Some of this hay got froze. This fill I just finished, I think, froze. It's thin and poor and dry. So it'll only be a couple days. I'm sure we'll be baling. So I'll bring you along. Thanks for watching, everybody.